What's up everyone, welcome to another Elite Video Membership class. Today we're working on the thoracic spine. So that's really just thinking about your mid and upper back. We want to be able to have it do a lot of different things. Rotation is something that most people think of, but you'll see with our sequencing in class that actually flexion and extension is really important. It's also a controlled articular rotation that can get a little bit complex, a little bit confusing. So we're going to break it down really well so that you can integrate it into your daily routine and know all the little corners. So let's go ahead and get started. Quick note on equipment. I'm gonna be using a med ball. I'm gonna also be using a blown up stability ball. They really help with the reach, but you can also just use a yoga block, a pillow, something that you have around the house, anything that you're able to really get to here. There is gonna be a little bit of a better usage of the ball because it's round like your spine's supposed to be, but just keep that in mind. If you don't have anything, you can even just go Wakanda Forever right here across your arms, all right? So the first thing that we're gonna do is find yourself on a wall. And when we get up against the wall, I'd like to have your feet so that they're not necessarily touching the wall, but they are even. So make sure you don't have one foot really far in front of the other. We're gonna go ahead and have our butt against the wall. Everybody's gonna be a little bit different depending on how much case they have in the back, but we should have a little bit of a gap for our lower back, and then our upper back should be able to touch the wall. The goal isn't to be as straight as possible. We're trying to really articulate our upper back and stay out of our lower back. So from here, I just want you to take a couple of breaths. As you exhale, if you can reach your elbows forward, you can think about getting taller, similar to some of the wall isos that we've done before. Your ribs are staying down. I like this as a visual that my ribs are actually kind of pulling down and in away from the ball, and my spine is going back into the wall with my rib cage and staying nice and long. Now we're gonna get 5 reps of wall peels. So you're just thinking about starting off at the top of your spine. Okay, so you can think about kind of keeping your chin slightly tucked, and I'm just going to think about pulling the top segment back into the wall and then up and over so that I flex down. The next one, same thing. The next one, same thing, until I get everything off of the wall, except for maybe the bottom segment. Now from here, let's just take a breath. As you inhale, fully exhale. You should feel your ribs close down on the front now. Now, just like we do in all fours abs breathing, try to breathe into your upper back from here. Let's have everybody take 3 more breaths. The goal is for you to almost feel like your ribs are moving away from each other. So they're expanding, they're spreading, especially your back ribs. You can get some air into your sides too. And we're just working on staying as rounded as we can in our upper back. You shouldn't be crushing the wall with your lower back, even though you could if you wanted to, but keep it there if you did. Make sure that your knees are a little bit soft as you're breathing, and you're just trying to pull that back, up, and over to get that round in the upper back, okay? Go 1 more breath. Fully exhale, pulling the ribs in, keep those abs. Now, whatever came off of the wall last, so the bottom of your mid back, I want you to 1 by 1 try to extend that. At a certain point, we're really looking for that full extension through this upper back. So you're even going to try to see if you can get your sternum up without squeezing your shoulder blades back, ideally. And then we're gonna go ahead and lift our chest up without losing our ribs. Just to give you a little visual, there's me losing my ribs. There's me keeping them down when I extend, okay? So now let's go through 4 really slow reps, all the way down, all the way up. And this is the beginning of your thoracic car. So you're trying to round out your upper back as if it's peeling off of the wall, and then slowly come all the way back. On the way back, a little bit of extra emphasis on elbows reaching forward for shoulder blades not squeezing back, and you lifting up through your thoracic spine. Try to go slow Try to go even slower than me if you can. Feel the back ribs open up here. If you want, you can pause and take a breath in any step. We'll go over a little bit of breathing for expansion in each spot, but just know that's always an option for you. If you only did 3 of them, but you took a couple of breaths in, that could make an even bigger change than just hitting a bunch of reps. So there's my third. The wall should give you some good feedback, but ultimately, being able to do these anywhere is what we want. Slow on the way down. Reverse on the way up. Shake that off for a second. Now what we're going to do is go into another part that will often even simplify the thoracic car and take this out. So I really want to go over it today. And the way that we're going to do that is by using the lateral bend of the spine. So we should be able to shorten one side, lengthen the other, and go back side to side. So let's go through that. For this, same setup, and we're right here. You're gonna go ahead and take if you have a yoga block, let's put it between our knees now, because we don't wanna be moving through our knees. Keep the knees soft, but squeeze together the block so you get your adductors to lock in, so your inner thighs. And then from there, you're gonna go ahead and try to see if we can just crunch our left oblique and let that right elbow get high. Now when we get to here, I want everybody to take 3 to 5 breaths with the intention of filling up the right side of the rib cage. As you fully exhale, let that left oblique close. Really feel that and get air into that right side of your ribs. Almost think again that the individual ribs are actually spreading on your inhale. So as you fill up, they go from being closed to slowly opening up and then closing down again on your exhale. Let's take one more breath and then we'll go the other way. You should feel a huge stretch to your right side. It doesn't have to necessarily be huge, but you should feel stretch to the left side, no pinching on the left side of the ribs. Now let's try to slowly feel your right side work to pull you back. And you can almost think your shoulders are gonna tabletop and start to tilt. So left gets higher, right gets lower. Same thing, get your full bend that direction. Think about almost like you're leaning those left ribs out to the left and then trying to get them to open up on the inhales. So feel them spread, fully exhale. Should feel your right ab wall working very hard, especially on the full exhale. One more breath here. Fully exhale. Slowly control your way back. And now let's just get 3 reps side to side. So you're thinking about the top of your spine is bending. Everything else is coming along for the ride. Your belt buckle should still be relatively parallel to the ground. So we don't necessarily need one hip to hike up too much because that would be your lower back, your pelvis. We're just looking for that motion through the upper back, and it's not going to be as much as you think. So just get what you can. Nice and smooth. Remember, there's always an opening angle and a closing angle. As I go left, my left oblique closes, everything closes on that side. On the right, it stretches, and I should feel my lat, the sides of my ribs. Everybody's a little bit different, but we should feel some of that stuff. If you wanted to add a hold, we can put our hand up and reach across, like classic stretch right there. We could also go here, just giving you guys options for other times. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do our lateral bend. Now what we wanna do is work on our rotation. For this one, let's go ahead and keep the block between the knees. We don't need the wall anymore, so let's get a little bit farther away from the wall. And all I wanna do is start off and as tall as you can be. So for most people, what they think about neutral spine, try to get stacked, okay? So that basically in the middle of my ear and the middle of my ankle should be relatively in line going through the hips. Now I'm gonna go ahead and keep my belt buckle forward as best as I can, and I'm gonna rotate all the way to the right. What I'd like you to do is actually rotate without your head. Now rotate all the way back the other way. So we're going left now. Imagine that your sternum or your Iron Man is actually what's turning you. Rotate all the way back. You should feel your right abs working to pull you there. You should feel your left stretching a little bit. It's not about chasing the stretch, but just know those are the sensations that would make sense. One more in that direction. One more to the left. Good. Now we're gonna come back to the middle and we're gonna round out again. And now you're just gonna give me 3 reps, rotation this way, rotation the other way. So now I'm in flexion of my upper back and I'm just rotating, hitting corners. This is one of those situations where you guys use your assessment, you use your feels, and you say, oh my God, this is super limited right here. So then you go and stay there. For most people, turning right and working on closing the front and filling up your back left rib is gonna be really a game changer. So let's do that for just 5 breaths real quick to give you an option. So my hips are staying as forward as I can keep them, belt buckle straight on. And now as I breathe in, I wanna try not to fill up my belly so that the ball goes away from me, but see if you can get that full exhale to lock the ribs down. And then let your inhale as much as you can go into that back left turtle shell as if your rib cage is filling up into the left. And then we can almost side bend, rotate, and crunch to our right so that it, again, closes stuff to really promote the airflow into that back left side of the ribs. One more. Okay. So that should feel pretty good. It should also be very tiring. Now what we're gonna do is we basically broke down every little corner, and now we're gonna go through 5 full reps in each direction, and we'll do that with the ball. So one of the other things that I see with people often with this is that they really kind of mess up at the bottom of their spine. So let's go ahead and have you put this up against here. I wanna do a rep without the ball for everybody. So if I put this over here on my belt buckle, now I'm forced to not be able to arch my lower back because I lose the bottom of the yoga block. And if I try to go too far into rounding my lower back, I'll lose the top. So this is a good marker for you guys. I also don't want to be like this and then fall into the wall, okay? Meaning you're freestanding and it's feedback, but it's not what's holding you up. Your structure is what's holding you up nice and strong. So from here, we'll go ahead and think about this. Your shoulder blades are gonna squeeze back a little bit if you don't have the ball, but that's okay. Just try to think about what's going on at the spine. So I'm gonna first start off by flexing down. Then I'm gonna go ahead and rotate to the side. Here's where it gets tricky. I'm rotated, flexed. Now I'm gonna side bend. Now I'm gonna go ahead and rotate all the way around to the other corner. Flex down. Laterally bend, and then I'm gonna go ahead and come all the way through, rotating into that other side, laterally bend, rotate all the way back as I extend up, flex, laterally bend, come all the way through. So we basically need to just make sure that we hit every corner. As you'll start to learn, there's a bunch of different ways to even do the same car. And as long as you're getting all those little corners, that's what's really important. So there's 3 in that direction. Round out. Come all the way through. Get that side bend in. Extend and rotate all the way to the other side. Round out, come down. Come all the way through. Last rep on this side, rotate, slowly come down, come to the middle, okay? So there's that direction. For some people who might be having some of the opposite issues, you can totally just turn the block around, make sure it's nice and flat on there. Again, I'm not trying to push the wall away from me so much. And then, since I have it, this will make my reps a lot better. If you have a ball, use the ball. That's kind of how I feel about these. I'm really never doing them without the ball. That doesn't mean that they're not valuable without the ball. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and round out, slowly come down, rotate to the side, hips stay squared forward, lateral bend to the left. Feel the whole right side open up from here. So I'm rotated to my left, I'm side bend to my left. I should feel that side open up. Now I'm gonna go ahead and extend as I rotate all the way to the other side, come down, all the way through. This is another one that's really important, that you're making sure you go in both directions, because if you might have noticed, you won't hit the same corners when you're going in both directions with the way I'm coaching you to do it. But again, the key is that you're essentially drawing a circle with your upper back, staying out of the lower back. Hips should be relatively squared forward. Side bend, extend and rotate. Come all the way through. Especially with the upper back, these should feel really good. It should also be hard, but they should start to feel good, like you're really opening stuff up, and you can get yourself into the positions that make the most sense for you, especially based off of the feels you're getting. So there's 4, one more, coming down, up, rotate around, slowly come down. Ooh. Okay, so that's how we're gonna do our thoracic cars. That should really help in breaking everything down and getting a better understanding for each little corner and how you can specifically work on something for you and even add some blocking now to make your reps better. Next up, we're doing thoracic cars from a split stance. Absolute staple in my programming, my daily routine, love it. As you guys have known before, the med ball is a great way to progressively overload your spine. You're adding weight to your spine. That's perfectly normal, perfectly fine. That's how you make it resilient. So we're gonna go ahead and start off. Let's go right foot in the front so I can cue everybody the same. Soft knees. You're gonna go ahead and try to get your weight on your right heel. Left big toes pushing through the ground with the glute. I have headlights on my hips. They have to stay facing forward, so does my belt buckle. And I'm gonna go ahead and tilt my belt buckle back a little bit. So like tuck your butt under you, kind of like pelvic magic, all right? Now from here, I should feel my feet locked into the ground. And I'm gonna take you guys through the simpler one where we take out the side bend so that everybody can just focus on their balance and being locked in. You're gonna go ahead and slowly round, segmenting your thoracic spine into flexion. Then we're gonna go ahead and rotate to the right. Ooh, almost fell over already. As you go to the right, you should feel your right inner thigh working, okay? As you extend up, keep your ribs down, keep reaching the elbows forward with the shoulder blades, rotate to the left. Don't let your left hip rotate out with you. That's very difficult. And now you should feel your right butt cheek working too. Slowly come down. Let's do 4 in each direction. Rotate that way, extend up. Ribs stay down. Anytime you feel like there's a chance that you're gonna go ahead and lose your ribs, especially as you extend up, you can exhale. Come down, all the way to the right, all the way up, rotate to the left, slowly come down, one more, rotate right, all the way up, extend, rotate left, slowly come down. Now reverse directions, everything should be burning right now. Left, don't lose the left hip. Slowly rotate all the way up. Or extend all the way up, then rotate back to the right. Come all the way through, left, up, right, down, rotate left, 2 more, up, to the right, down, last one, don't lose the headlight on the hips, rotate up, slowly rotate to the right, slowly flex down, come to the middle. Woo. Shake that off for a second. Okay, let's switch sides. Left foot's in the front this time. In order to make this easier, you can have your feet closer together, so that might help you. Some people are gonna do better with a little bit wider. You'll figure that out. Or we could just do standing or kneeling also, just to give you another regression. So here we are, we're gonna get our weight on that left heel, lock the ribs in, get nice and tall. Then I'm gonna slowly curl down, rounding the upper back. I'm gonna go ahead and rotate to my left first. Should feel my left inner thigh here, very important. Then I'm gonna go ahead and extend up. Rotate to the right. Make sure that right hip stays facing forward and not turning out to the right. Again, think headlights. Left, extend up. Rotate the other way. Come on down. All the way up. Rotate right, flex down. Notice, ideally my lower back isn't moving at all. I should even try to see if I can keep a natural curve. You don't have to think about that, but in the ideal world, that's what it's looking like. One more in that direction and we'll switch. If you notice that you're having a lot of trouble on one side, maybe you feel like you're stuck on your right, then we can go ahead and hit more reps on that daily. I just reversed directions, went right, extended all the way over to the left. Woo. Lost my balance. If you do, just get yourself back into it. 3 more reps for me. Right, up, rotate back, slowly come down. Right, 2 more reps. Keep those hips forward. All the way up. Across, down, up, across, and down. Whew. All right, so that's our split stance thoracic bar. Now we're gonna actually go into a cool down. That's gonna be a really good passive stretch that we're gonna focus on our breathing in. So you're gonna end up going flat on your back again. All right, next up, we're in the side lying position, okay? We're gonna show you 2 different variations, but let's start off all together in this one. So I want my knees bent at 90 degrees. Okay, I got my knees stacked on top of each other. I like this yoga block between here, a pillow between here, that gives you a little bit of feedback. If anybody's struggling with their neck, they can give themselves a pillow too, so that you're able to kind of have your head a little bit further away from the ground. Eventually, I'm gonna use a little bit of a weight, so if you can grab a light dumbbell or something, that would be great. But you don't necessarily need it for the first part. So we're gonna do these classic kind of thoracic exercises that you'll see a lot of people do. It's important to know that you really work specifically on those individual units, which is gonna make this more successful. And you can't really substitute the thoracic cars for this, but this is a great way to finish off what we already did. So I'm gonna go ahead and start off by reaching my left arm forward, and then I'm gonna come all the way up like a shoulder car. And then I'm gonna go ahead and let my hips stay forward as I open up my chest, rotate all the way through. I can go full shoulder car with the rotation if I want, or I can keep my palm open, whatever feels better. And we're just gonna do 4 more reps. So you're gonna do 5 total reps. And the exhale while you're reaching behind you is really ideal. So we're trying to get our ribs to move as much as possible. We're tying in the shoulder, we're locking in the hips below. If you want, you can let your head come back. Just make sure you don't feel any pinching. I prefer it to just be a little bit suspended. And then drop it at the end all the way down. Oh, come all the way through. Let's do 2 more of those. And then we'll eventually do a hold on each side where we take some breaths, and I'll show you guys how to set that up, but you will need your weight. Last one, reaching forward all the way around. Oh, okay, so what I'm gonna do here is I'll show you, if you take a block, you can create a little bit more distance. So if you're having trouble getting your arm all the way down to the ground, you don't necessarily need to, you can have the block there. If you can get it to the ground, we can get it to the ground and let the weight hold us down. And all I want everybody to do is find a good spot. While you were going through those reps, you might have noticed that there's certain lines of tension that have the opening angle stuff that's really intense. So here I get a really good chest stretch to the front of my shoulder, so I can stay here. Use my breath to lock everything in. And I'm just letting my upper back rotate to the left as much as I can. I can even think about my right fingers getting as far away from my left fingers as they can. So I'm reaching in, pulling back with the left shoulder blade. Just want to take 3 more breaths. Two more. One last one. Good. Okay. Leave the weight. Don't come out of it with it. Rotate all the way through, nice and easy. Should feel a huge difference there. A ton of stuff is moving. And now let's go ahead and situate the other direction. All right, so as we switch sides, there's also the other classic one that I'm gonna show you guys, just so that maybe this is your second time taking class, you can kind of have another option for yourself. But essentially, we could do the one where my bottom leg is straight and my other one's across. And then I also have my knee down. My knee can be bent in a bunch of different ways. Just kind of giving you guys options. Sometimes before or after a tough workout, I like to hit 2 minutes of this on each side, but just know that you could do it like that also. For simplicity, I'm gonna keep it right here, 90 degrees. I wanna make sure that my right knee doesn't pull back either, because that's just gonna take away some of the length. If you have to do it to get back and actually get it to work, that's okay too, but just know that that's gonna be taking away from the length up top. So same idea. Let's go ahead and regress this one for anybody that needs it. I can go a little bit further away from my ear. I can go not so high up. And then I can just come all the way through, all the way down. If you feel a big difference from one side, another really good way to say, hey, I can feel my right chest is way tighter. It won't let me get back there. Maybe I'm super limited. And then I can work on that. Even though I'm talking, what I would like to do is be able to time my breathing. So if you can, start really thinking about your breathing a little bit. We'll work on big inhales when we hold. But for now, try to see if you can use your exhales to facilitate some abs. So that way, the motion's coming from those ribs opening up and not so much you're just moving through your lower back, your hips are pulling back, none of that stuff. As you get towards your end range, squeezing the block with your knees will help you there. And as always, remember you can have a pillow for your neck. Let's do one more and then we'll do our hold. This is a nice little class to kind of get you going on a Sunday. Okay, get into your hold position, find out where you want to be. You can go ahead and rotate your shoulders, so in, out, wherever you feel like you need it, as long as it's on the opening angle, which is your chest, not the back of the shoulder. And then we want to try to take breaths to fill up the right side of our ribs. You can turn your head the opposite way and see how that feels. You're really just trying to explore your body. Okay, take 3 more really good breaths. If you want, get that left hand out. Start thinking about the hands moving in opposite directions away from each other, similar to how we do in our SCAP class. One more breath. Ooh. All right. Come out of that gently. Make sure that you don't pull a heavy dumbbell out of that end range of your rotation. So that's going to be how we're doing our thoracic class. We'll definitely build on this one. I want this one to be relatively kind of chill, something that's shorter that you can get done on a weekend, on an off day. Just keep that spine moving. As always, please try to see all the individual things that you struggle with and take note of so that you can apply those specifically to you and use some of the strategies. The blocking on the wall is great. Using the med ball to get out of your shoulder blades. Maybe you realized when you did your scap cars today in quadruped position that they were really hard and you were really sloppy with your head. Those could be something that instead of doing them standing, you start to do them on the ground now as a progression. It's just another way to get progressive overload. So hopefully you enjoyed that. If you have any questions, please let me know and we'll see you for our next class.